Even we get quite as carried away as some of our continental colleagues. Back in 1981, England played quite an important game of football against Norway in Oslo.
Vi er best i verden. Vi er best i verden. Vi har slått England. England, kjempers fødenavn. Lord Nelson, Lord Behaviour, Sir Winston Churchill, Sir Anthony Eden, Clement Attlee, Henry Cooper, Lady Diana. Vi har slått dem alle sammen. Vi har slått dem alle sammen. Maggie Thatcher, can you hear me? Maggie Thatcher, you boys took a hell of a beating. Your boys took a hell of a beating. Maggie Thatcher.
Well, it was a World Cup qualifier after all, and if you didn't get the drift, England didn't win. Now, I'd be surprised if the next commentator was quite so sure of the result of this encounter.
And what a contrast this game must be tonight here at Old Trafford between the Manor and Old Trafford. The closed, claustrophobic situation of the Manor, which Manchester United find difficult to cope with, and the wide open spaces of Old Trafford, which possibly Oxford United must also, from their own point of view, be finding it difficult to cope with. Manchester United, perhaps the greatest club in English soccer at this present time, they have failed to assert themselves entirely against third division leaders of, against Oxford United, third division leaders of the third division, and at half-time they must be very worried because they know that Oxford United, who they have themselves through their own manager, Oxford United have described as possibly one of the best sides in the second division, that they have failed to assert themselves, and they know that they have presented themselves with a very considerable problem in the second half.
Well, Tommy Docherty assures me he hadn't touched a drop before this exchange with Pat Murphy.
There's a lot of ups and downs with players, so your man management can't have been that terrific.
My management is terrific. My management, they break the rules, you've got to implement the punishment.
Fair enough. Now, how do you follow that? Well, maybe with someone who, well, he had to be on something.
Pita el árbitro de Gran Bretaña, Patterson. Se coloca la pelota en tierra cobrando de inhalación a todas. El esférico sobre el costado derecho. Al ataque número 11, canciller del equipo polaco. Mira cómo se mete antes y llega a la cabecera del área nuevamente. Está cabeceando Chico Fraga, abre el ángulo. Aquí mete el terraque número 10 abajo. ¡Gol! 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 ¡De Polonia! Tarmac, el número 10, y comenta Óscar Restrepo Pérez a través de Tobelar.
A Colombian football commentator, and I must tell you, Colombia weren't even playing. That was East Germany against Russia. So let's compare the way the good old British broadcasting commentator covers these things compared with his Latin American counterpart. Here's Mike Ingham at Wembley in 1988.
And it'll be a Colombian corner kick over on the far side. They haven't had too many corners here this evening. And Garcia will go across to the far side. And again, Colombia had opportunities there, but they couldn't find that killer ball. But now they have a corner kick. Let's see what they can do from this set piece. Pereira, the central defender, goes forward. Header comes in. Brilliant header too from Escobar. And a goal for Colombia from the corner kick.
And hard to believe it is, this is the same goal through Colombian eyes.
Si García colocando la pelota, cobra la pelota arriba, la bola, golpe de cabeza. ¡Gol, gol, 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 gol! Colombia, mi tierra dorada. Golazo, 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 golazo colombianísimo. Carlos Mario Hoyo con golpe de cabeza y se infla la valla de Inglaterra. Colombia, Colombia, patria querida, tiene uno. Inglaterra tiene uno. Esto se escribe en Wembley. Colombia, mi patria tiene uno. Inglaterra.
And then there's the Spanish way of describing a penalty.
Expectación máxima, suerte, chuta, gol.
And here's Brazilian commentator practicing his pronunciation of the 1982 Scotland World Cup squad with Ian Darke.
Well, now, that's the first time I've been hit right in the face with a ball. And I didn't like it. Actually, the microphone in front of my face rather saved me, but at the same time, being a lip microphone, for those of you who are not familiar with it. It has a metal ridge all around it, and that metal ridge doesn't do one any good when it's thumped into one's face. Never mind, we're all right. I'll make a note of the player who did that, and he won't have a very good game the next time I'm watching.
Mind you, David does seem a wee bit more accident-prone than some.
Now, a lot of officials at the European Games march around the track, and it's not only distracting, but when it blocks one's view... My apologies, those little frill cheers that I spoke about earlier have collapsed, and you now have the sight, much to the merriment of the Hungarian fans here. You have the sight of John Blair, I'm sure at least 14 stone, and myself, over 15 I fear, sitting on the track, flat on our back. I've managed to recover the microphone. The chair is being recovered for me. I think it's a bit risky sitting on it, but I'll try it. So, if I disappear again, just wait for a second till I join you, will you?
David Francie on tour in Hungary with Celtic, and staying in Europe, this must be Alan Hansen on the trail of Rangers.
Good evening to you, Alan.
Good evening.
Now then, a win tomorrow is pretty well...
Against Italy in midweek, he might just be able to do something similar if detailed to follow Ali McCoist all around the pitch, and for the most part, young McLaren did just that. Hearts... sorry, hang on a second. Hang on, yeah, that's just ghastly. Sorry, a pigeon's just shit all over my notes. Jesus. That's a real big one and all. Okay, here we go again. Jesus, what how's you get the press box? On a day when the weather blew away 2 Premier Division games, as well as one in the... Jesus, it's on my coat and all.
And while we're on the subject, that subject, here's Ron Jones.
Not once giving him a real sighted goal.
Sorry, Ron, what was that?
Not once giving him a real sighted goal.
Yeah, I thought so. Now, to the sort of interview that every report includes commentaries and ridiculous reports by the good, the bad, and the very ugly of the BBC Sports Department. And we'll start with some of the perils of live commentary. Here's Edward Bevan.
He turns, comes in, past the umpire, bowls to Walsh. Walsh goes to the big hit, it's coming out towards us, it's coming.
Bullseye. Meanwhile, at White Hart Lane,
Chris Coleman, quickly closed down by Sheringham was Coleman, but the ball... Well, I tell you what, I've just given a great header. You probably heard that. Smack on the side of the head. I'll probably be seeing 2 of everybody for the remainder of this game. What about that, Trevor? Do you think they should sign me?
Well, I think you've got to keep your eye on the ball, Rob. I mean, I wasn't very impressed that you weren't sort of watching it.
Trevor Brooking giving Rob Hawthorne a lesson on heading, and he should know he once scored a winning FA Cup final goal with his head. But as if being in physical danger isn't enough, the commentator can also be sabotaged by technical problems. Roddy Forsyth and Peter Drury are about to find that out.
Gordon Marshall has it for Celtic. He is going to play it downfield, and when he does so, Peter Drury will be telling you what's happening.
You know, I'm a fairly cheery sort of bloke. People would tell you I'll see the bright side of life. But I'm struggling. Celtic 3-0 down on tonight. They need to score 5 goals. The only thing I can say of a cheery note is that if Celtic do win this tie, you're about to hear the most exciting 20 minutes football you'll hear all season.
Well, Celtic lost, so you didn't miss much. More problems though here for Chris Waddle and Simon Brotherson.
10 yards inside the half. Robbie Fowler doesn't quite beat the offside trap this time, but I think we've got another goal in the match between Portugal and the Republic of Ireland. Roy Weatherby.
Yes, indeed, we have it.
Sounded like magic roundabout there, Chris. I don't know what that was all about. It wasn't ever used for it, was it? It sounded like it, didn't it?
I think the game was being played in Florence. Now, meanwhile, another technical mishap ambushing one of John Murray's sports bulletins, and it wasn't the sort of mistake to pass unnoticed.
John Higgins is the first man through to the final of the UK Snooker Championship in Preston after his 9-3 victory over Ken Doherty last night. He'll take on the winner of today's semi-final between Stephen Hendry and Alan McManus, and Higgins knows everyone's expecting him to face Hendry in the final.
Ladies and gentlemen, this day that Hillary and...
Strangely enough, that's Bill Clinton and not John Higgins.
You can tell, can't you?
Yeah, it's something that is hard to actually cover up. Not Bill Clinton, but John Higgins. However, we can hear from the Scotsman John Higgins now.
But far more common is the broadcaster's ability to put his or her foot in it. Now, we all know what Nick Harris means at the end of this interview, but he just chose the wrong phrase.
Absolutely, I have with me the press officer for the Williams team.